All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my second last review for Season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead. This is for Episode 15. It's called Channel 5. Oh. Okay, so somewhat spoiler warning for this episode. This is the second last episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 with Episode 15, Channel 5, and I kind of hate when I'm right, because going into this week's episode, when we saw the preview video, at first it looked a bit exciting, and then upon second viewing of the preview videos for this episode, you get the sense that they're going to do this found footage thing again, which they did before with Channel 4, and it was okay for like one episode. But now we're seeing it again in the second last episode of the season. So this is sort of like a finale type of episode in that it's the second last episode for the full season. It's not episode 16, which is going to be your actual full finale. But if you look at The Walking Dead Season 9, for example, the second last episode of Season 9, episode 15 of it, was the Pike scene. So it was like the finale for The Walking Dead. So when it comes to the last couple episodes of a season, or the first two, or, these are pretty important episodes. You don't expect to see some kind of experimental found footage kind of deal at the very end of the season, and that's what they did with this one. 3/4 of the episode are found footage, and it's just absolutely atrocious. I mean, it is some of the worst. This has to be, for anyone who hasn't watched and doesn't want to, don't bother. It's one of the worst episodes of Walking Dead ever made. For sure, considering it's the second last episode of the season, it's got to be one of the worst they've ever done. Because also considering how good it could have been if they'd have just done it normally, right? If they'd have just done things like, normally and not done this weird experimental stuff that they keep trying to do. And this is a constant thing with Fear. What we're seeing right now is that whenever they have some kind of theme that they're doing, whether it's running out of gas, whether it's, Al using her camera, any other theme that they try to go with, they just beat it to death. They do it way too much. They take it over the top, and that's what we see in this episode, is we see them taking the found footage concept way too far. I mean way too far, way overboard, which again makes this, considering it's the second last episode of a season, one of the worst episodes ever. You might expect to see something like this for an episode 11 or 12 or 13. You would not expect to see this at the very end of the season, which is going to be your finale episodes, which is going to make people decide whether or not they're going to come back the next year and watch it again. This is so ridiculous. So we start things off in what is, I would say, the worst intro sequence of a Walking Dead episode ever. I would say that I have to put this episode as worse than still. I think this is probably the worst episode of Fear the Walking Dead that's ever been done. It's, you can maybe make the argument, if you're a fan of Madison, that maybe her last episode is the worst ever because you didn't want to see Madison be killed off in such a way, and you could say it really hurt the series if you really liked the character. But in terms of, character death decisions aside, with just what's in the episode and the direction they take in this one and the choices they make is just it's atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. So Virginia literally trolls Al in this one. Literally, like vlog trolling, like internet vlog trolling. In this episode, Jenny, or Virginia, is a troll. It's absolutely ridiculous. So here's what happens for anyone who hasn't watched it, because I know a lot of you guys are not watching it. You're just wanting to find out with a recap what happens. She literally films a trailer of her own for her group to out or to make her group seem like it is better than Morgan and Althea and the rest of their group. So Morgan and Althea had this ridiculous concept to make these videos and leave them around about how they can help people, to get people to join and to do this, and they would leave them around with recorders and stuff like this. So it's it's a stretch to begin with. It's quite a stretch to begin with. But now to see the current villain of the show counter that and troll them in it and say that she's going to help and that she can be better at helping than they can. This is absolutely ridiculous. She is a zombie apocalypse troll. They are literally vlogging in this episode again. to where it's like, okay, I understand if you want to do something experimental one time, but you don't do it in a finale, and you don't keep doing it when it didn't really work that well the first time. Maybe for comedy it's okay, but when you're bringing in serious elements in this episode, with you have a character death, for a new character anyway, and you have Grace who's passing out and looks like she's almost on her way out, and you have all these things happening, it's just a cluster F. I mean, okay, so we go through and we get the intro in the Channel 5, and she's just like, wow, and everything. You get the intro, and it's got the cracked Fear the Walking Dead intro, which I thought that was okay. And Althea throws the TV off. Yeah, 90-pound Althea. She throws the TV. She's mad because she's been trolled now, and this lady is outdoing her concept, and she's the film person, and nobody records anything on film except for her, right? I cannot understate how ridiculous this whole premise is. It's completely off the rails. I mean, it's so off the rails. Then we continue after that, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, when are they going to stop with the found footage stuff? And it's not until, almost 3/4 of the way through, close to the end, when they finally stop it, and finally the episode actually starts to recover a little bit. It starts to feel like, okay, this isn't so bad again. But by that point, it's like, we just saw Virginia trolling them, not once but twice, first on video in the recordings, and then afterwards she comes back and her guys shoot the guns off. She mentions Sherry, and Dwight gets mad, which that's okay. And that's the thing about this episode right here. I don't want to say that any of the cast are really responsible for this. Like Austin Emilio as Dwight getting a little bit intense on the mention of Sherry is good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. He's doing his thing, the same as he did in the original Walking Dead series. He's great. Morgan's great. Alicia's ridiculous. She's still painting trees. And again, I don't blame any of the cast for the people who are involved here. He's just like, I paint some trees. And so it's just... Man, it's ridiculous. And then so we get the trailer stuff going through of them. You've got Tom and you got the others, and he's so excited, and he finds his sister, and it's supposed to be like this happy part, but it just feels so ridiculous in the first-person video type of thing. And then, okay, so it actually goes from bad here, and I'd say even in the middle, it actually does get worse as we get the bridge collapsing, which should be really good because it has got some parallels to what happened in The Walking Dead Season 9 with Rick and the bridge. So I like the idea for the bridge. There's a whole bunch of zombies coming through, and you get some really exciting stuff going on here, and they're killing them all and this kind of stuff. It should be really, really good. It should not be something where, it just feels so ridiculous and I'm kind of complaining about it, right? It shouldn't be like that. So you have the stuff going through. You have Grace and Morgan, and they go out and they find some stuff for Grace. So she kind of recovers a little bit, and seemingly it looks like she's gonna die in this one, and she ends up surviving. They find some stuff for her, and so she seems to be okay, and she's able to walk. And they're going to Humbug's Gulch, is one of the Humbug's Gulches that they're not sure what's there, but they think it could be a sustainable place that they could live. And so as a result of Virginia coming through and what happens at the bridge, they lose all their vehicles and they have to walk the rest of the way, which we saw in the preview, which is is okay. Like I said, once they stop using the found footage stuff, it starts getting a lot better, and it starts feeling like you can actually watch it, and it's not so amateurish or ridiculous. But just when they're each talking, and it's like the vlogging thing, like I'm doing with you guys right now, I'm reviewing this with you guys, but I mean, it just feels so ridiculous to see something like this in the Walking Dead universe like that, with the videos and everything they're doing. You got Tom, and he's recording and everything as we go through the episode. So documentary is going to be useful in all this. And so we see things continue, and we eventually get to the bridge here, and that's where, again, like I said, this could have been really cool if they didn't do this in a found footage ridiculous type of format. So we've got the cameras going off here. We've got Virginia showing up. Somebody brought up that maybe the staff that they gave to Morgan after they fix it has a tracking device in it. I like that idea. I think that's probably true, that she fixed his staff and gave it back to him, and it probably does have some kind of tracker or something in the staff, and that's how she knew where they were, except for just maybe keeping an eye on them. But so I like that idea. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. We'll see if that happens to be the case. But at the end of the episode, they call her for help anyway. When they get there. So it's just like, oh my goodness. So you get the scene of if anyone wants to go with her, that they can. And Morgan tells them that yes, you can if you want to. And then eventually, I guess they're all going to have to join with Virginia's group and kind of do what they're going to have to do there. So all the zombies coming through, I wrote down here, should be awesome. And I wrote down, this is so bad so many times when I was watching this episode. Like, so many, they're just so bad. Yeah, it's like, oh my goodness. So, okay, let's get this right here. Let's go over what happens with the bridge part here. So you have Victoria, or Virginia, she comes through and she's doing her thing, or Jenny, and her and Al are kind of getting at each other a little bit, and the others, and Dwight's getting a bit intense and everything because of the mentions of Sherry. So, okay, so maybe we'll see Sherry next year or something like this. That could be good. I don't know. We'll have to, if anyone even wants to watch this show next year, I don't know. So we have the bridge that's collapsing, and they're trying to get over it, but they can't. So they pretty much have to leave everything there and just kind of get over it. So as the process of they're going through, you have Tom, who's recording on one of the cameras, and they have multiple cameras in this episode, right? And he's just not taking the situation seriously at all. He's like recording, and he's like, I want to get this footage. I got to get this, and the bridge collapses, and apparently he dies. So Tom dies recording the bridge collapsing, just because. So he dies as a result of them wanting to get the story, and so Althea sort of has a protege in this one, I guess, or a with him, somebody that's helping her film and doing all the stuff. It's just like, oh my God, this is so ridiculously bad. It should be sad to see, this guy who's a really lighthearted, nice guy, be killed off. But in doing it in such a ridiculous fashion, I just don't even know what to say. It was absolutely great. It was absolutely ridiculous to see that they decided to do this again in this episode and continue with this whole video recording concept. It's just not working at all. And it's pretty blatant at this point that it just feels absolutely ridiculous to see this. They really got to stop doing this next year. I mean, I'm saying, like, no more cameras. No more, just have her run out of all the batteries. No more ridiculousness. She can have her camera for her thing, and that's fine. But once you start basing the whole story around it in a finale, it's like, you've gone too far. It's just, you've gone way too far with this whole idea. And having character deaths as a result of video camera footage, it's totally gone off the deep end. It's fallen off the bridge. It's ridiculous at this point. And then we finally get to go into her editing this. So she's editing this in the SWAT vehicle while everybody is basically running out of anything and has no energy to do hardly anything. They're just trying to survive, but they somehow have the energy to do all this filming and all this ridiculousness, even in their peril, and all these things are happening. So then finally it stops. Finally, she's editing. Althea's editing after Morgan comes in, and finally they stop, and they start walking the rest of the way through there. And you get some good moments here that should be, again, like I said, should be a lot better than they ended up being. Mentions of a wedding with John and June and this kind of stuff, and Morgan being the best man. This is all good stuff. A possible romantic relationship between Alicia and Wes. Painting together, this kind of thing when they get there. So eventually they get there. You have Grace feeling guilty, but she really shouldn't, because really this is Virginia's fault. This whole thing happened anyway. And also they should have scouted ahead before bringing 35 people there, this huge convoy there. You probably should have scouted the gulch first to see if it was somewhere where you could actually even really go anyway. And you brought this whole crew, everybody here, over 30, whatever amount of people here to this place, and it's just filled with CG zombies. They get there, the whole thing is just filled with CG zombies. So blatantly, obviously, CG zombies. It's like, oh my God, more CG zombies. Okay, so we'll get out of that mindset and think of it, okay, there's a whole bunch of zombies in the place, and so then the preview for the finale looks okay. You have Alicia saying, like, well, maybe we can clear it, and maybe that's the best way to go, and then you can see in the previews there's a lot of them. So, Morgan picks up the radio and calls Virginia to ask for, so now Morgan and the others have been ousted as the helpers, and they have to call Virginia and ask her for help. So again, like I said, when we have a theme, we have a concept, we're not just going through it, but we're going so over it and into it and under it. It's like bridges every which way about it, that it's getting absolutely ridiculous. The whole help concept, now they're trying to out-help each other and who can help better. And okay, Virginia's the one who's going to help them now. And is she really a villain? Is she? Okay, they're going to join. And what does it mean? And Dwight doesn't want to be a part of it because he saw with the Saviors how these things go. He'd take his chances walking on foot with hardly any supplies. And some of the others maybe want to try to clear out this place. And the whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous. So that leaves us with one episode left for this season, episode 16, the actual full finale episode. We'll see how it turns out. God, I hope it was better than this one, and I hope there's no more found footage, please. No more. Just go back to the regular thing. It's too much. This is, oh man, so bad. So in terms of score for an episode, because it's not just a regular, 11 or 12 or 13 type episode where you could expect to see something like this, because you have everybody in the episode, even Skidmark and Daniel and everybody else, and he's got a good line with Morgan in that. So you had everybody in it, and finally we got to see everybody in it together, and it just was like, and you got the bridge and all this stuff and a bunch of zombies and a villain and all this stuff. It's just, it should have been way better than what it was. So I do think it is one of the weakest episodes ever done, considering what was put into it, considering that it should have been better, and it's just getting to the point of absolute ridiculousness for Fear, to where even Z Nation took itself more seriously than this a lot of the time, and it's just getting so crazy. And you're trying to mix kind of the seriousness with the experimental, gimmicky found footage, with the help concept, and with all this, and when you put it all together, it's just it's just not working as a whole. It's just not. It's just it's just So there's certain things you have that you could that should be good. All those things I mentioned should always pretty much work. And because of this, just kind of the ridiculous theme and the ridiculous concepts here and the ridiculous ideas, it's just. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy how bad this episode is. I want to say it should be way better than what it was. If you could ignore all those elements, like I said, then it's got those other things that usually always work, which is a whole bunch of zombies, a villain, confrontation, some kind of parallel to The Walking Dead with the bridge idea. These are not bad ideas. None of this is bad. All of those things should work. Them struggling for survival, trying to find a place to live, a whole bunch of zombies everywhere. That should never not work. It should always work. And in this episode, it was just so over the top with the other crazy themes that they've been doing. It just doesn't work for me. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10, considering it's the second last episode of the season. If it was kind of like a 12 or 13 or 14, maybe give like a 5 or something like that. But, that's what I'm going to do, because I really do think this is one of the worst episodes Fear the Walking Dead's ever seen. And I can't believe this is kind of what we're seeing now. I mean, it's okay if you try it once and you kind of want to give it a shot and see how it feels. But again, just going way overboard with these kind of themes and some of these concepts, it's just in the borderline or totally be over the borderline. You want to talk borders, Walking Dead season 10, right? Alpha and the border. Borderline, it's gone way across the borderline, right? So it's just it's crazy at this point. Let me know what you guys think, man. If you like the video, I'm sure most of you probably didn't like the episode. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. Let me know what you think. Are you with me on this one? Do you think this is one of the worst episodes I've ever done? Or are you somebody where you're saying like, oh, it's okay if you can look past the found footage ridiculousness. If you can look past Tom actually dying because of this ridiculous camera vlogging concept, documentary trailer creation concept, then maybe you still enjoyed it. But you gotta, and the help concept as well too, of now a villain trying to outdo helping them. It's like, man, it's gone way off the rails. If you can look past all that stuff, then maybe you can enjoy a lot of the other elements of the episode. Like I said, it has those high budget elements that normally you would like to see and normally you would enjoy. But just, I can't overlook all this other ridiculousness that's like, it's like, what am I watching? Am I watching like a zombie apocalypse B or C movie that was filmed in someone's garage or something? Or like, what am I watching, right? Is this a big budget official AMC Walking Dead property episode? And that's just what I'm just like, wow, I can't. Again, it's still level bad. It's probably worse than still, to be honest. At parts anyway. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about it, and I'll do my predictions for the finale episode. At least it looks like it'll be better, and we'll see how the season ends off. And hopefully, when the series continues in season 6, we see some changes. We see maybe things get better for Fear, because this current back half of season 5 of Fear might be the worst half of the entire series. It might be, and I'm not saying to try to be negative. It's just that's what I'm seeing, man. And I got to be honest with you guys. Got to tell you what I'm seeing, And you can be honest with me, too. You can tell me what you're seeing and what you think. Just let me know, guys. I just don't know anymore. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. I'll see you soon.